there's been a rumor, right, that Iger was going to come back and sell the company to Apple. Obviously, there's a history here going back to the Pixar acquisition in 2006, where Steve Jobs was on the board of Pixar, and Iger, admitted years later in his book that if Steve Jobs had lived, the two companies probably would have merged. But if you just think about it, it would be kind of absurd if the board reached out to Iger agreed to come back, and then within a week, he comes out at his first town hall and immediately announces that he's selling the company to Apple. Even if that was, let's say, in the works, let's say big if, it's what is he supposed to say, even if it's in the works, right? Like, he can't say anything unless it's been announced.
I mean, Glenchur's going to have an opinion on that one. I mean, if you think it was hard to get Microsoft and Activision in bed together for good, I mean, Apple and Disney, where would that go, Paul?
It's got a shot. These regulators, they don't like it. I mean, obviously, but if he proposes that deal, your buddy Ron DeSantis would be president possibly by the time that deal would go through significant regulatory review. Okay. And then the question is, who's running the show? And wow. It's very different. And so I've looked at that, it's not proposed, but Apple can't buy a 6-pack of bottled water without getting problems with the regulators. But this, by the time they would announce something like that and get further down the road with it, it would be looked at substantially. But when you just do the horizontal and vertical market analysis in sort of a traditional antitrust way, it's not an outrageous thing, even though instinctively you go, oh, no way. Don't be so sure about that.
See, this is the problem. This is the problem unique to me, but to many of you. My instincts can be completely wrong, right? I just said what I thought because that's what I do. And that's why we have people on the team that says your instincts are off, buddy. It's okay, right? Paul was very polite about it. It's fine. What do you think, Freedman, that's an education, a quick one. What do you think in terms of the strategy of the two? Because you're kind of laughing at it.
Well, look, I mean, I didn't mean to laugh at it. I mean, there is the strategic rationale behind a big tech company acquiring a media company makes a lot of sense. We've seen Amazon make a big push, for example, into content through the MGM acquisition, and obviously going after sports rights to not only grow the advertising business, but I've long said that media companies, it's a tough business. It's a tough business, especially in the scripted content space. It's very competitive, and so it's typically, but it's a great driver for subscriber acquisition or to drive some other part of the business, right? Loyalty, retention. In case of Amazon, right, to drive more retail sales. For Apple, if they can get all that franchise IP and include it as part of a subscription to Apple's hardware sales, right? It can help grow the Apple TV service. It can help grow the services revenue. It can give them more inventory that they could possibly sell in a push to grow an advertising business in the future. So, strategically speaking, it's not, it actually could work. It's obviously just a lot of it comes down to the price that they pay.
Right.
It's obviously a much different world we live in today than it was back in 2006 when those two companies first discussed possibly merging together. But Apple has very significant distribution through their install base of iPhones, iPads. They also have the Apple TV device as well. And so there is, a path forward where it could make a lot of sense, assuming that they agree to the right price. Because if you could overpay for it, you could pay the wrong price for any asset and it won't add value at the end of the day.
Hey there, Hedgeye Nation, or if you're not part of Hedgeye Nation, thanks for watching Hedgeye on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to click on the button below there. Subscribe to our YouTube page. You can also follow the link in the description to our website to get even more great investing content.